Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here today. My name's Eric Birch. I'm with Columbus Gold. And before we start, I'd like to draw your attention to our disclaimer on forward-looking statements. We're talking about pre-feasibility or feasibility studies, preliminary economic assessments, and a number of different resources here today. So Columbus operates in two primary jurisdictions, Nevada and in French Guiana. So let's start with French Guiana. It's probably a jurisdiction that most people aren't familiar with. French Guiana is French soil. It's a department of France, and as such, it enjoys the same laws and liberties as if you were actually in Paris, France itself. So they're European citizens, the currencies, the euro. It's home to the European spaceport, where they launch telecommunication satellites due to its proximity to the equator. So it's an up-and-coming region, and we're going to be more or less the first major mine development within the country. So we're working very closely with the government. They're very supportive as they try to attract foreign direct investment into the region. Now, our project is situated about 250 kilometers south of the port city of Saint-Laurent, so that's the port city, and there's our project. It's accessible by country road, and we also have a 65-person full-service camp on site, and we have a 500-meter airstrip for small airplanes. Back in 2015, we announced a resource. It's a 5 million ounce resource averaging around 1.5 grams per ton. There's 3.9 million ounces in the indicated category and another 1.1 in the inferred category. But we think it can get much larger. And so earlier this year, we announced, in 2016, in July, we announced the acquisition of 2 exploration permits. So the 5 million ounce deposit is located right there. In July of 2016, we acquired these 2 exploration permits, and I'm sure we're all aware that mineral deposits don't stop at claim boundaries. And so we've put together an exploration program to test the eastern and western extensions of this deposit. We announced it late last fall, and before the end of January, we'll be announcing the commencement of that exploration drill program. We're also going to test to depth. The drilling over the last year has been down to 250 meters to upgrade the deposit to measured and indicated for inclusion in the ongoing feasibility study. According to a PEA also put out in 2015, it contemplated a 12,500 ton per day open pit operation, producing 3 million ounces over 13 years. And in the first 10 years, the average annual production was 273,000 ounces, so over 250,000 ounces a year, very impressive, and at an average grade of 2 grams per ton. And that makes it one of the higher grade open pit projects in the Americas. As I mentioned, we are in the final stages of feasibility. We do expect that on or before March 17th, and we pretty much have a guarantee of delivering that to the market. It's being completed by Nord Gold. They're our partner, and they've been paying for all of the expenditures on the project. Oh, let's see if we can go back one. And you may not know about them. 10 years ago, they didn't exist. Currently, they operate 9 mines in 4 countries. They produced about 1 million ounces of gold last year. And they've also been working to advance this project. It's in their development pipeline. And so that sort of wraps up our work in French Guiana. Again, within the next few weeks, we will be delivering a final feasibility study on the project, and from there, we'll keep the market abreast of any developments beyond that. I'd like to take the last half of the presentation to talk about Nevada. That's where Columbus has its roots. We've got a project portfolio of 14 projects, but we're really focused on one project in particular, and it's the East Side project. Before I quickly walk you through that, I'd like to introduce you to our exploration team. Back in 2005, we signed a very exclusive agreement with Cordex Exploration. And this is a group of geoscientists that got together in 1971. It was formed by John Livermore and Andy Wallace, who you see here, here in the picture. And John Livermore, if the name sounds familiar, it's because he discovered the Carlin mine in the 1960s for Newmont and invisible gold in Nevada, Carlin-style mineralization. And today we've got the Carlin Trend that's been responsible for over 50 million ounces of production. Now, this group, between 1971 and today, have been recognized with the discovery of over a dozen multi-million ounce deposits. Many of those have gone to production. In fact, there's still a few that are in production. We've got some listed here on the side. So the Stonehouse Lone Tree mine, operated by Newmont, still in production. The Marigold mine that Silver Standard's operating, still in production. Florida Canyon, a couple of past producers that each produced over 1 million ounces, the D and the Pinson. So they're very accomplished. With our project portfolio of 12 projects, we do JV some of them out, but we keep the best ones for ourselves, and this is one that Andy really, really likes. And we've had some great success last year on this project. So quickly, this is some of the best infrastructure you could ever have for mining. Highway 95, the yellow line, it passes through the southern claim block boundary. That's the highway that connects Reno to Las Vegas. Northern part of the claim block, you've got a green line on the screen. That's a high power voltage, a high voltage power line. So that passes through the property. And its district size, it's 67 square kilometers, and it's about 30 kilometers away from the historic mining town of Tonopah. If we zoom into that red claim block, we see that we've got a number of targets on the area. Last year, the focus was on completing drilling on the original target, so that's right up in there. And in December, we announced our initial resource estimate, 721,000 ounces of gold equivalent at a gold equivalent grade of 0.63 grams per ton. We are in the process of permitting. We're open to the west, to the south, and at depth, and we're in the process of permitting to drill the western and southern extensions right now. We've got 7 additional targets on the property, and they're all fantastic. They look very similar. Late last fall, we announced that we had received permitting for Target 5, so that's right in the center. And it's geologically and geochemically identical to the original target, but it's more weathered at surface. So we expect the higher plus 1 gram per ton grade material to be a little closer to the surface. Within the next 2-3 weeks maybe, we'll announce the starting of drilling on that project itself. And earlier this week, we did announce the acquisition of some historic claims and resources. That would be down in the southern claim block. There's 272,000 ounces of 0.8 gram per ton at surface mineralization. As a standalone operation, it wouldn't look good, but if we can find enough mineralization on the main property, we would probably have a great starter pit there. And that's just a resource table. I gave you the numbers on it just quickly in my last 40 seconds here. We're about 55% institutionally held, 45% retail. At post-financing, which we also announced this week, a bought deal with no warrants, we'll have about 151 million shares issued and outstanding, and about $8 million in the Treasury for our programs in 2017. And we do plan to end the year with a strong cash balance after we've delivered all this exploration of over $1 million. And so that kind of brings me to the end of my time. I thank you very much. And we're over in the back corner, I guess, as you walk out the door to your left. Please feel free to stop by and ask me any questions. Thank you very much.